And we are live. What's up? Oh man. You love to see it. You love to fucking see it, don't you? Everything died today. Everything died. Except Burke. Berkshire did pretty good. Only down 1%. Sweet. Easy game. Oh. Someone want to tell me who's holding Tesla? Fun day, fun time, fun time. Let's see. I'm kind of curious. Kind of curious, like what people have been picking up recently. Actually, I didn't get to take a look at the 330 filings. Let's see. Let's see what Lilu got going here. 331. He should have to file in the next 30 days. So we'll see what he got. Okay. Ooh. New holding 330. Effect 11%. Yeah, this did really fucking well, actually. Yeah, just up 20% on purchase since like 6 months. Really fucking good. But damn, PDD, and then he sold out PDD. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Hey, Justin. How's it going? Let's see what the latest guru picks are. Don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. Whoa, yeah, Kathy Wood. Let's see what the fuck she did. Hey, you finished all your exams this semester, so you're kind of free. Oh shit! Nice, nice. Well, if your exams are done this semester, you pretty much have the entire like what next 3 to 6 months off, right? What are you gonna do over the summer? All right. Okay. Let's see. Kathy's arc, holding heat map. Oh, okay, okay. She reduced her Twitter holdings on 331. Okay, I guess she filed early, but I'm waiting for everybody else to file because I'm really curious where the value investors go. Not this shit. Well, next 2 weeks and then you start working and then summer school. Oh, dude, summer school. Wait, what do you do for what do you need to do for summer school for? Okay, let's see. Consumer defensive. Blah blah blah. I don't care. Ratio. I don't care. What's this? Coinbase ad in 330. Yikes. The only thing that I think jumped for her and saved her port was the Twitter purchase. Holy fuck. Roblox. Man, you love to see that. You love to see it. I'm just kidding. I'm not hating on Kathy. I'm just kind of like, I just don't like the sycophants who support her blindly. Summer school so you can have a lighter course in the fall semester. Oh shit. Yeah, no, that makes sense, but like, um, wait, like I don't know, like if do you not like have an internship or anything else over the summer? I feel like like for students over the summer, I almost feel like it's either if you take some courses that's cool, but honestly, I'd rather if I was in that position, I'd probably just if I went back in time and it's hard to say actually. If you don't really know what you're doing over the summer, then more courses could be more interesting. But I almost find like that if I could take, like, let's say for instance, I could take all the cumulative knowledge that I know now that is not related to engineering. I would literally go back in time and spend 3 months just literally reading, trying to figure out some like puzzles, like investment, maybe investment related, something else. And then try to really find people who that's similar interest. You know, oh, you're doing both an internship and summer school. Yeah, that's pretty rough, bro. But I respect the hustle. Just be careful, like not to burn out, because I know that can happen. Holders, holy shit. All right, you know what? Okay, let's see. Close this one. Yeah, you're planning on reading a bunch of SRE books linked to Discord? Yeah. No, that'll help you. So all the books that I recommend, I would say read the ones in my video first, because those are like the bare basics, right? Okay, hold up. Let me adjust my camera. But yeah, the books that that I have in my video, those are the bare basics. Those are not going to change. Like no matter what happens, I'm pretty sure like chances are that's not going to be any different than it. That recommendation is not going to change. But a lot of the SRE stuff is going to really be based on your understanding of it changes when you have touched and played with the system. That's basically what I want to convey to you. It's incredibly difficult to really have an appreciation for when they talk about, Bazel and shit, and the build system philosophy if you've never actually worked with it directly. So it's kind of weird. It doesn't hurt to really learn that stuff and kind of get your feet wet, but you don't really understand it until you actually work with things. I think that's a pretty common understanding. Okay, wait, I'm getting pinged right now. Okay, cool. Alright, so let's see what Charlie Munger did. I think the last one was just the Alibaba holdings, but yeah, I've already discussed this. I already know. I think I've already said why. I've already said why this occurred. So this is not interesting to me. Oh, let's see. Let's see. What other person do I want to look at? Oh, it's Seth Klarman. I think he should have filed 330 by now, right? No, he hasn't filed yet. Wow. Okay, no changes then. Interesting. What is he looking at? Oh, Liberty Media? Really? He actually bought Liberty. Okay. I don't know what this conglomerate is actually. VS Viasat? Not a fan of this one. Intel, big fan. Yeah, I would say anything below 48 cost basis for Intel is not bad. It's pretty value. I don't know. I'm not interested in this one. SiriusXM. I understand the play with SiriusXM. I know why he's doing it. I just don't see it. Like basically, the play with Liberty and SiriusXM is that basically what they're trying to do is just basically stream radio, right? So you've heard of SiriusXM, right? So all they do is just provide the platform and then have content flow through. In theory, it should just basically be the same model as YouTube, where people pay to host on their platform for radio. The problem is that I don't see it actually working in the same way, because everyone just gets their content from YouTube, podcasts, Apple Music, everything else. The media content generation game is like so super saturated that I don't see Liberty Media ever playing like a significant role in it. I get like quote unquote in theory, but when you line up with reality, it's just not there for me. So I don't understand the play. Okay, so Meta. Yeah, the only pick I see here that I like is gonna be Intel. He sold out of eBay. Yeah, that's probably fair. Sold that. Reduced Google. Okay, whatever. I don't care. That's fine. Yeah. Really, when I look at these things, I only really look at either Lee Lu, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, and Seth Klarman. Those are really the only four people I look at. The rest, I don't really have much of an appetite to look at. I mean, the Cathie Woods and growth stocks, I pretty much just invert whatever they're thinking. It's just not my tastes. I will say though that that some of my picks have been pretty fucking solid. So I think like a few what's it called, a few streams ago, I did a valuation on like Seneca Foods. Let's see how it's done. Oh shit. I think I bought it around like 54, 53. Somewhere around here, I think. Yeah, 52, 53. So, you know, I'll take that. I don't want the intraday. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with this actually. I actually don't care in the long run, to be fair. I should have not been stubborn about this company. And I should have bought it probably around, I think, when did I look at it? 20, yeah, around here. I was really stubborn about it. I could have gotten it for 36 here, but I was really stubborn because I wanted to throw money at like DIT and try other options plays. Big mistake. But this one is my darling actually. This one was so good. I think I bought it around here. Yeah, it's like almost 100% investment return. I considered selling up here actually, but because the reason why was purely it was just like price to book play, and then back here, then it was like trading at like 0.3 or 0.5 book value, something ridiculously low. And so it was a pure net play. It was like what 100% gain. So I'm happy with this. I think people thought it was a value trap because for the longest time it stayed down here, but I think people didn't realize the book value and the liquidity. In fact, like this insider institutional ownership is literally one fucking guy just buying the entire stock. It's the CEO. I think he owns like some ridiculous 20-30% of the stock, or something like that. Yeah. Is it this guy? No. It's the CEO. The CEO literally is like keeps buying the stock. So I'm like so fucking jazzed about it. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I'm still hunting for. I still think there are some plays in the market right now. There's like one conglomerate I'm looking at that's trading at like below a price to earning ratio of 1. I think it's like trading at like 0.5 but I think it's there because people misunderstand the business. People say it's like acts like a restaurant, but it's actually a investment conglomerate, not unlike Berkshire. So I want to do a little bit more digging and look into their portfolio, see if and value each one of them individually. But I think I have like on a surface level, I think I have like 2-to-1 odds on that. So we'll see. Okay, well, is there any questions so far from the crowd? I know I've mostly just been looking at stocks and stuff because I don't know. Hacker News lately has not been doing it for me. Justin says, hey, yeah, I'll prioritize getting through the book through a video, and then I think I'll refactoring code complete and design patterns. Yeah, so the thing about those books is that there's a lot of information in it. But the information doesn't really matter if, like, let's say you don't apply it. And I think this is a pretty common problem with, like, reading stuff in general. And let me give you an example. Like, when I was doing research for Bazel, and I was, like, reading all this documentation. So I'm basically, the short version is that I'm helping to migrate our code base from Buck to Bazel. And I've been reading, like, all this, like, freaking documentation of, like, what it is, how to do it, the works and everything. And, you know, even though I know it up here, like, I can tell you what the module does, I know how it links, I know what the philosophy of it is, it's trying to be hermetic, etc., etc. It's like, I can recite that off the top of my head, but I don't actually understand it until I started, like, reading the actual code inside of it, debugging it, and looking at where it falls short. And that's when I really think people really understand what they're reading. So, like, for instance, you know, like Bazel is, like, for instance, tries to you have the option to pin dependencies, satisfy those conflicting versions, and then set those macro rules by bringing in, create macro rules, and to also use the version of Java, C++, etc. that is not on your machine. You call those tool chains, and that's great and all. But then, what exactly does that mean? Why is it there? How do I configure it? And when am I going to, misunderstand it? That's when you really understand something. It's when to not use it or when the concept doesn't apply. So I can give a little talk about that later. But for now, let's bring on my client. Let's see what he says. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, right. Cool. Yeah, so catch me up on everything. I see that you did some stuff on the problem sheet. How did your practice go, by the way?
On the Saturday after our stream, I didn't practice. Okay. Being honest, and because I was kind of like, not say disappointed by being this limbo, was kind of not so motivating at all.
Yeah.
And I went to my mom's house, but then yesterday I went back to practice after like the news from Microsoft,
Yep.
right? And then yeah, doing the things you mentioned, like I rewatched the stream, like to see how like I went through the question compared to your approach, right? And then I took my notes, like, and tried to apply the main key points on my approach. For the serialize and deserialize NR tree, I was able to solve it like in a much faster way, of course. But like addressing and working on the points I took note, like to be more rigorous with my test, like as you mentioned, I was able to solve like in 22 minutes. I don't think it's still good, but like it's less than 30, 20, 26, I guess, right? Compared to the Saturdays version. And the deserialized tree, yeah, I did this as well. But like I would say that on the code portion, I still taking too long. It should take less. And I saw the same pattern repeating today. I try to fix better than all. Like sometimes I'm working on this. I've been repetitive. Like even though I made the plan, I don't know. It's something that I'm working on. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
So and yeah, on the last thing on the Sunday, I applied for like 60 companies, so was not totally off. So I was like applying, right?
That's fine.
Is
We'll take
another
whatever shots we can
activity.
get, and I know it'll be hard,
Yeah.
but we have at least Microsoft ready to go later on next month, like on the 20th, I think, or 26th,
19th.
19th. Okay, so we have basically like 3 or 4 weeks, so that's still a decent amount of time. We just have it now. And it's like now that we have a firm deadline, let's put them out to the floor. Okay.
For sure,
So
for
first
sure.
things first. When you watch the stream, you understood what I was talking about when I said you're kind of like abandoning your testing plan and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said you kind of did the same thing here for the code, right?
Yeah. Like I would say that for the serialized, not that much, but for the one I did today before going to college, I kind of like tried to fix something on the fly, while you're doing the code. And yeah, and after when I rewatched the video, I remembered like, oh, I shouldn't have not been doing this,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, which is the one that you did, the merge two sort of lists?
Yeah, the merge to sorted list. But from now on, I will focus on the honor classes exercises.
That's fine. I want to get a sense of like what you're doing, and to be aware of. So let's actually let me download this one. So let me download both of them.
Yeah. For this one specific point that bothered me a lot was like when I did the plan. It was pretty fine. When I was testing the plan, in my point of view, I was kind of slow, like trying to see one very clear thing of like where the pointers need to go.
Yes.
And after I reanalyzed on the train, I was, it should not have happened, had happened.
The question
yeah.
really, when it comes to efficiency, the question isn't like, oh, I should have done this or not done this. It's more so the first question that you should always ask is, am I being inefficient at any certain point? So let's use last week's stream, for example, right? The inefficiency you were doing was that you were testing and then throwing away the test. And then you were just like patching, praying over and over again, right? That's inefficient. What you need to do. So what you need to do is actually to make sure that whatever you test, you don't need to retest it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once, only one.
That's only one part, but then there's like multiple parts to it. But that's the first question you should ask, not whether or not you can, what's it called? Well, yeah, like I said, it's not about trying to, like skip steps. It's like sometimes there are some steps that are necessary, but the first thing is that we don't want to repeat something unless we have a good reason to. Like maybe there is a step that we thought was correct, and then some new
Uh-huh.
fact we thought of that invalidated it, and we want to double check. That's fine. If the conditions have changed, if the parameters of the problem have changed, that's fine. But ideally, we would like to make each step concrete and bulletproof before we move to the next one. Now, what's going to take to make it concrete? That's going to vary from problem to problem. So, for instance, when I come up with the the inefficiencies, et cetera, those are usually there to help you flesh out your idea and make the ideas clean, right? So now that so let me briefly go over the I keep going back to the last week one because that's a problem I'm familiar with. I'm not too familiar with your other one that you just did. So let's take, for example, this serialized and deserialized one, right?
Okay.
Serialized one, I think it's because you might have been biased because I have given, like, we worked through it before.
Yeah.
But it's like you understood what the end goal was, right? And so you didn't necessarily need to. It's like once you kind of like started to do the test for it, which is like A, B, E, F, K, and you saw like what each of these parentheses meant, which means parentheses means going into the child, and then parenthesis means coming out of it, and then comma used to eliminate it. You don't need to retest it because the idea is very firm. It's very obvious. There's no way this is going to change, right? So you don't need to retest it after you've written the code or the pseudocode necessarily. I mean, you can do a quick test, but it shouldn't be something that you're like constantly doubting and having to revise. You know?
I see.
You know, it's like you can have the service level idea, come up with a pseudocode, and then retest it just to make sure that you're sane. But it shouldn't come from a position of doubt. It should come more from a position of, okay, let's square this away before I fully commit to it. There's a very subtle difference there. And I know I'm talking a little bit about mentality, and it's kind of hard for me to, to give you like very specific instructions that you should do X, Y, Z. But sometimes there are some problems that straight up need you to do a double check. And you saw that when I did the deserialize function.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm 80% certain I need to do these divide into these like 3 or 4 rules, right? And I just don't know what the current list is going to look like. But let me go ahead and at least do what I know and then leave the rest open for interpretation. As long as it doesn't blow up the rest of what I'm doing. So that's where this comes in.
One thing that I've been trying to do is actually after write my plan, right?
Yes.
I was trying to do the thing you said, like to at least have a very good idea of what I want to accomplish, like 80%, you
Yes.
know. So I don't need to like go step by step on my plan.
Correct.
So like most of the work should be done on the idea portion, you know. So I've been focused on this as well.
Yes.
Like
Sometimes, and don't get me wrong, sometimes the idea and whatever you want is going to be like have a lot of moving parts. And you can't fully know it ahead of time. But at the very least, you will at least have a certain idea, and like 80% of it is concrete. The last 20% can be up to interpretation without blowing up your code, like I said. So I think your video is done downloading. Let me go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so let's open up the merge to linked list one. Hold up.
yeah.
Okay, so the problem is called merge two sorted lists.
Okay, I'm going to
So
sort of
first-
this.
I sent you the
We're
notes
gonna
actually
have
as
two
well.
lists.
If you
Yeah,
want to
let
follow
me open up
from
the
this
notes here.
In which that they're going to be sorted.
on scored.
Our goal is
Yeah.
to merge them in a way that preserve this order. So for
Yeah,
example,
so let me go ahead and
1,
open
3,
this up in a
7,
Google
10,
Docs.
1, 2, 4. We're going to
Okay,
merge
so
them.
hold up. Let me go ahead.
It's on the practice diary as well.
Yeah, I'm just placing. Oh, is that practice diary as well? Okay, cool. Let me open.
Yeah,
up
I'll send you the. Do you have the link? I can send you.
So- Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, cool. I have the practice diary. So you put it under merge to sorted list, right?
Yeah.
Is it row
228, the row.
228, okay, cool. 228. Great, found it. So let's see what you wrote here. So, minute to minute, 20% the problem, discussing extra examples, input, yes, naive approach, cool, perfect, acknowledging inefficiencies, discussing better approach, correct, acknowledging inefficiencies, the previous solution derive the most optimal one, that you're 80% certain, sure. Tracing the plan around the algorithm, not smooth as it should be. So I'm gonna aim for around the 7 to 14 minute mark. Let's see where this comes in. And then 14 to 22. You spent a lot of time testing this one. And then
Yeah, that was the point. That was the point.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump ahead to 11 minutes then, and let's see what happened here.
Yeah, good.
dummy. I'm not finding the symbol here.
Alright, let me speed up.
Yeah.
Is there a way to speed up playback on this shit? Alright, hold up. I might have
Maybe
to open it up
if
in
like with the
in
right.
VLC.
I don't know.
I'll be pointing to.
Hold up, let me open up
like,
the VLC then. Give me a sec. Okay, so 11 minutes.
Okay, so the problem is called merge to.
Okay, so you're gonna sort two merge sorted lists. Let me jump to 11 minutes. Okay, center of history, too much time and space. Yep. Okay, so around here you're gonna be looking at. Okay, so.
Yeah, the first solution, like the most brute
Yeah,
first
so
one.
you're coming
I
up
didn't
with
wrote
a
like
plan.
I just said.
Okay, so I see at 11 to 14 minutes. You're basically traverse through both lists. If current A, current B, list. If point concatenate. So this is correct. My question is now, why did it take a long time to come up with this idea? That's the interesting part, actually.
As I pointed out, I went like to two solutions before this one.
Yes.
You know.
No. I'm
So
saying,
maybe.
I'm saying like this. I feel like if you. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. I'm trying to think here. So I know you come up with two solutions, but it's like 3 minutes to come up with a solution like this in 3 minutes. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. I guess you're talking through it. Yeah, I'll look at that later because that's not the most important part. Because if you can do this setup and then you can code it up in 5 minutes, you get it under sub 20. So that's my thing. So my question now is, let me see what testing you do to make sure that this works.
Yeah, like on the test I messed up because I don't know, like I was not the pointers. I don't know. I got confused just a little bit.
Yeah, let's see what happened here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see you're setting it up. Okay, so you said dummy next equals current A, current B. Okay, I see. So the first thing here should have been what is you kind of express this more in terms of code than pseudocode. In this case, what you really do is express what you really meant was to build a dummy list by iterating with two cursors. And if the value of cursor A is greater than cursor B, then you want to append the dummy with the current B or vice versa, right?
Exactly.
And then after that, you want to advance the pointer. Instead, I think that what killed you, it's like, remember what I said? It's easier to think in terms of plain English. Like, I think, I don't know why that missed. Why did that miss you? That's the question. Because it seems like it's a very obvious thing. And yet you went ahead with the dummy.next. There's a disconnect between the idea you wanted to do and then what you put down on paper. Did you think that dummy.next was the way to build the list?
That was my idea. I think I didn't put like the right way. I had the clear idea, but I was messing up with the pointers and what I needed. Was not. I had like, as I mentioned, most of the idea done, but I was not like 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was
see.
just figuring out after doing the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
that was what killed me.
to me, like building a list is very obvious. It just means copy the node, then advance the pointer. That's it.
Yep.
And that should have been. That's at least based on my previous when I've worked with problems like that, right? So I already. This is what I'm talking about, like pattern recognition. Like I think they're like Grokking did something similar, right? Where they had you traverse a list and then what's called append, like do a list builder sort of thing. I feel like that should have been automatic. That's my thing. Like that pattern should have been automatic there. I'm guessing you might have forgotten it a little bit.
I'm not remembering right now.
Okay. Yeah, because to me, like, it's building a list and then traversing the pointer. So to me, that kind of says that you kind of forgot that pattern. So that's what.
Actually, there is one point. My intention was to create a list changing the references from the both lists, you know? So for the solution before this one, I was creating the entire new list. you know,
Okay.
just copying nodes.
Yes.
And then from this, I derive into this more optimal one. So I would just change the references. The
Ah.
thing that I got hung up was like, to preserve the reference I should, like, so I don't miss the references, for the dummy. So yeah, I think I got confused on that, and I missed that on the code. But I was realizing that I needed, So as you can see, I was completing.
So
the idea.
So then that means I misunderstood because I thought you were building a new list. And so
No.
if
That
you're
was
doing
in
it
the
place-
previous
okay.
solution.
Okay.
No, that was in the previous solution. Yeah.
Okay. So
If you
I'm doing it
if
in
you
place.
move back, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
If you move back like 3 minutes, you
Ah.
will see this solution, this exact solution.
Cool. I see. Okay. I'm going to say in a coding interview, you could probably omit writing this because I think most people understand if you can express it clearly. This is the reason why I make you write it is just as an exercise in case you need to do it.
Oh, okay.
So you might, if you clearly understand what you're doing here, and you feel confident that there is no misinterpretation between what you're talking about and what you intend to convey, then you can probably skip this. But
Okay.
just as a don't get hung up on that as the point.
All right.
So here
Online 24 is the previous solution. You can see.
perfect.
I'm creating a list in the middle.
Yes. Got it. Okay. And yeah. So you walk through it. That's fine. And so that means that when you're trying to do it in place, to me, it's not obvious, right? So okay. So this is like your plan, right? So you're gonna update references based on if they're equal. So then, okay. I see. So if I'm looking at this and I want to update things, I like what you did here. I'm not gonna lie. I like this because you're drawing it very clearly out. But that means that for me, I would write this out into, because the answer's not super obvious, I would do it in discrete steps, right? So in other words, let's say you take the same idea, you basically have to recurse through two bulk lists, right? That's pretty much unavoidable. The thing is
Okay.
that then you have a few states you need to manage, right? Remember, I think we talked about this a while ago with like the tests that, testing
Yeah,
by
yeah.
states. There's only a few tests that you really need to do, right? One is when the pointer A points to something pointer B and the pointer values are equal. One is less than, one is greater than, one is greater than, one is
Yeah,
less
yeah.
than, and then one is null, one is not null. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Four
5?
states, I guess.
Yeah, those are 5 tests those are 5 conditions that you basically need to meet, right? And if you can
Yeah.
handle them, then you're basically golden. So that would be the way I would approach the problem. Is that okay? I just need to come up with what I need to do in each of these 5 things. And so this is
Like on the plan, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So this is the way I would think about the problem if I were you, because again, like the core idea is being able to iterate with these list pointers.
Yep.
And so the next question is then, okay, what are all the possible states I'm going to need to test for? And I laid them out for you. So I was like, okay, I know for sure if I can handle these 5 states, I've handled everything I can possibly run into with this problem. And so for me, now that I kind of say this, I'm kind of seeing where you might have come up with. You kind of just, I feel like you didn't have a clear idea of what would constitute correctness or what you really need to do. Because I see that you have the broad idea, but then it's like, what are the steps in between? And I think you kind of
There are states missing.
yeah. And so your idea, the final idea is correct. The question is step by step, and that's the difference between the 80%. The 80% confidence isn't that 80% confidence you're right in your final idea. The 80% confidence it should be in your step by step. Does that make sense?
Like those, if I have defined those 5 steps, I would be 80%, not what I did, right?
Correct. Like I have no doubt that your answer here is correct. The final state you want to get to, but there's steps that you need to take in between, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where the 80% confidence interval needs to come from. It needs to come from, hey, I believe that the steps I'm doing are going to be exactly these. It's kind of a similar sentiment to what I did for the what's called the deserialize and deserialize, right? Remember how I said when I deserialize the function, deserialize the string? I said I know for sure that these are the steps I'm going to need to take. It's exactly the same thing here.
Could you please do one analysis for me, just to see your point of view?
Okay.
Like when I was saying the idea, like I don't remember by the top of my mind, like if I said some of those
So
things.
let me just test.
But I didn't wrote them down. Like
Okay.
it's previous.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what time did you
When I was drawing, like on line 36.
36.
When I
Okay,
was
so-
drawing, like what I needed to do, you know.
Okay, so let's hear it because I feel like if you did talk it out, then you should already know what you need to do. So let's see. Let's hear it.
Like, yeah,
Oh.
that's
L2, right? And like the same thing I'm gonna do here. So consider this as a pointer. Like, yeah, consider those things, those asterisks as pointers. I'll check between 1 and 1. Which one is the smallest?
Okay.
Both are equal. So when they're equal, I'll choose that one as the smallest, right? So what I'm gonna do here is like make a reference from, create a reference from like, yeah, actually I'll move this pointer to here and yeah, there we go. Then I would consider between 1 and 3, which one is the smallest? Like 1? And yeah, after I did this reference
See, I messed it up with the
change
pointers.
here,
Huh?
I was messing up with the pointers.
All right, let me finish listening to this.
like, yeah, I was thinking maybe go this way, right?
Okay, you saw what you did there, right? When between 3 and 1, you guys said, "Oh, maybe I go this way."
Yeah, I was not sure. I was not sure at all.
Okay, so this is I think I see what the problem is. So I like the fact that you kind of talked it out. Said, "Oh, well, if these pointers are equal, then I'm going to advance just the L1 or L2 pointer, right? It doesn't really matter." And so now that you are dealing with 3 and 1, the question then becomes, okay, well, where do I need to draw the pointers, right? So in this case, to me, you're right. There may be some pointers here that may not necessarily be the link between 1 and 3 might not actually be right because you're gonna have to advance it, right? So to me, like doing it in place is very, very complicated. Actually, now that I look at this, so you're right. You did catch yourself there. But you advanced. So you advanced the pointer because there could be a number between 2 and 3. So to me, this says that okay, well, if I need to look at the pointer that's ahead, and then look and have a reference to the previous one, so that way I can do that gluing logic or whatever you have going. And to me, is this what the book does?
Yeah, but like one thing I just saw now on line 34, I should have considered that the node I am now is the 1, right? And I'm comparing between if the next will be 3 or 2, so I can point my dummy next or to 2 or to 3, you know. So and I didn't like make that clear while explaining. I think maybe that's another problem. You see, like if you put play on the video, I was kind of confused of what I will do, but then I figured it out. But
Okay.
I didn't divide in steps as you mentioned.
Now that's the
Okay.
current one that I'm visiting. Let me put another symbol here. Yeah, imagine that's the current one that I'm visiting. And I'll choose between, and like I'll choose between
Okay, I
4
see.
and 3.
Yeah,
Which
so
one?
you eventually get to this idea as well.
Yep.
That's fine. So I understand what you're doing here. And then so like based on what the leading pointer is, then you glue the previous pointer.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, that's fine. So that's correct thing to do. But then now you have to come up with a pseudocode for it, and it gets vastly more complicated. So, to try and derive a rule set. So let's say that you start off like 1, 2, 1, 3, right? 2 is less than 3, so that means that you would, but the ones are the same. What happens if they're not the same? You see, it gets kind of weird. So let's say like if they're one's greater than the other and they're the same, then you advance this one.
I'll send you the book solution.
Yeah, I'm very curious how they derived it because this to me like
It's the same. The only part that differs is in the end. Like, the book connect the tail, and I was not connecting the tail.
let's see.
Just a minute.
Okay, yeah. So
Hold up.
you do need a previous point for
here.
sure, and yeah, let me just try to work this. See if I can connect the logic. Okay, so you did need a previous
Send
pointer.
you.
Advance. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So you need a previous pointer and then that pointer. Okay, that's fine. And then if they're the same, and one's greater, then you can advance one, advance the smaller one. So in this case, you would advance the 3 because you glued it. Okay. And then here you're now looking at 3 and 7 and 2 and 4. 7 is greater than 4.
No, I'm looking to 3 and 4 only, not 7.
Well,
You know,
the
like
thing is that you already
the
have
dummy
a,
node is on 2.
But the thing is that's
No,
it's
the-
symmetric because you can either glue one or the other. So you need to have a previous pointer and a current pointer as well. So I'm like, okay.
No. Because like my current pointer is on 3, my current pointer A,
Okay.
and the current pointer B is on 4.
Oh, I see.
So I'm deciding on the if case if my dummy next is gonna be the 4, is gonna keep on the 4 or go to 3, and then I advance my dummy next or to 3 or to 4 according to what I move next.
I see.
know,
Okay, now I understand what the logic is. The logic is now okay.
Yeah.
I see. The logic is actually to chop up L1 and insert pieces of L2 in between,
Yeah, kind of this, yeah.
and then build it up. Okay, yeah. So you did need the previous pointer. So I understand where they come from, and now that I have that idea in my head, now that makes sense. So then you're gonna iterate through L1 and look at L2, and look ahead. And if it's equal, then you glue it together. If it's not equal, then you're at 3, and then you just keep adding. You keep iterating through L2 until you reach a element that is greater than, and then you glue your previous pointer onto
Exactly.
the L1. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So to me, that would mean that there are 2 discrete parts, right? The first part is you're going to iterate through L1, right? And the second part is during that iteration, you're going to advance L2 until it goes ahead, and then you glue it back to L1, and then the next loop will be going to L1 again. So I think that's pretty much what the book should do, based on my understanding. So
It's in a while loop, and they're comparing. It's just the same.
I think they're
It's
doing,
not a separate loop for L1 and L2.
okay. They don't do 2
Like
loops.
one for-
Interesting.
No, there's only one. As the same way I did. The only difference in the tail, like when there's nothing else to compare, the book is cutting, like is breaking the while. While I was continuing in like considering infinite value. Yeah.
Okay, I see. I would based on that, I would say getting the in place one is probably medium, but getting the naive solutions is easy. So
Yeah, the naive is very easy.
yeah. Okay, so let me bring that. Let me open it up. I like the Java version a little bit better.
Oh yeah, you're a Java guy.
Yeah, because it's more verbose. I'm not. Okay. Cool. Let's see here. So yeah, so naive solution is to append the 2 lists together. Blah blah blah. Wait, I know. Yeah. So the solution. Okay, drawback. The better approach is to time complexity. Yeah. So P1 data less than P2 data. Current dot next equals P1. P1 equal P next. Interesting. Let's see, P1, P2. Okay, yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
it's the same idea. You just choose between like the ones you compare.
Wait, they're not doing it in place. Dummy head. Wait, hold up. No, they're not doing it in place. Am I crazy?
So actually, they are because they use just the dummy head just to have a reference for the head. They're not creating new nodes at any point. If you see on the answer, they're just managing references, as you can see.
Yeah, but then how is that
Just-
different from the first answer you just gave?
Because like
Yeah, how is that different? This looks way too complicated. This looks better. Like, and effectively, it's the same thing.
no,
Yeah,
but
this is
I
the
was
right
creating new nodes. I was creating new nodes on the previous one.
Yeah, this answer's like way too complicated. Like, but effectively, this is the same thing. Yeah, so this should have been easy. Yeah, this was easy because effectively you're doing the same thing. You're just changing the references. It's exactly the same thing actually.
You can understand that it's the same thing if you're not allocating new nodes.
You're not creating
but
new
yeah.
nodes. You're not creating new nodes on this one. If you're doing node list builder. Are you creating new nodes in this one?
The way I solved, I was
Okay.
like I was just copying values and putting new nodes.
Well,
But
okay.
yeah,
Instead of that, just append the nodes. So instead of doing this, all you have to do is instead of copy, just advance the pointer. It's actually more akin to this solution than this. This is crazy.
this even though I think
Yeah.
the second one make more sense.
This one makes more sense. It's so instead of you copying the node, all you do is just iterate through the pointer. Yeah. You just iterate the pointer, and then you just build that node. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's the same thing the book is doing, right?
Yeah, but this one's crazy. This is crazy. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I mean, like again, it ends up being the exact same thing. But think of it like this is crazy. You should have thought of it like this, and then just update the reference with the dummy node, dummy list builder. That's it.
Okay.
I see what happened here.
Okay.
You went for the overly complicated thing. You even threw me off for this. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I get what you're trying to do here, but honestly, if you just had L1, L2 here, and then you just said, okay, well, L1 is equal to L2. It doesn't matter which one. I just take from L1 and then add it to the dummy list, and then advance the pointer. And then for L2, okay, I'm gonna add it to the dummy list. Take whatever I'm currently looking at, and make the dot next. Update this reference, and then move on.
That will be clear to see. I think it's just a matter of representation. Like the first one is easier to see than the second one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You overshot. This one just tells me you overshot the complexity.
Overshot.
Yeah. So
Let me translate
let me open up the problem sheet, and I can maybe it's easier if I just type it out instead of talking about it.
Overshot. Okay, I see.
Okay. So let me open it up, and I can tell you exactly what I mean.
Okay.
Cool. So
Here I am.
yeah. So let's say you're on your merge to sorted list, right? And so you have your one. Let me copy your example. Right. And so basically what you were doing was here's your this one and this one. So then current list. So what you were doing was that if they were like say equal, right? You would just then create a new node one, right? And then advance, and then here, and then you would go link to new node one, and then right?
Yeah. Exactly.
This is basically what you were doing. All the book is saying, hey, instead of creating new nodes, just copy the reference. So if this is like at, let's say at A2, A9, at A10, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. And let's say this was at B1, B9, I say B1, A1, A2, just to make sense. And then B1 at B2. It's supposedly these are like memory addresses, right?
Yes.
So then now this would just be, current list would just be at A1, and then, and then B1 at B1, and then you still have your pointers pointing to whatever the fuck is coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically that. You overshot the complexity, and that even got me a little bit confused.
No, but man, if you look to my answer, I'm just moving the reference to next. Just changing the reference. So you think that is an overshot solution?
So let me look back at your.
I'm not copying.
Yeah. So
I'm not copying. I'm just moving references.
Yeah, except the
And
way you
using
represent.
the dummy node.
Except the way you represent it like this is crazy.
Okay. Nice.
It's basically all I'm doing here. The only difference between what you're doing and what I'm doing is that instead of trying to glue it in place like this, all I did was just like create a new reference, and then just manage it from here. It's a whole lot easier to visualize.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Much more easier.
Yeah. So so this is what I mean by it's fucking crazy. Like it can be done. It can be done, but it's not really any better. It doesn't at the end of the day mean much because you're just using one extra of variable. And to me, like you'd probably be using a whole lot of variables managing this. So the real question you should have asked yourself was for the too much space of copying. You could have said, okay, how do I do this by reusing the references? So you had the right thinking. It's just the wrong direction.
The first thing I thought like to not copy was like just to point to to the correct node, then move my head.
Yeah.
The thing of point the node and copy the reference, I think they are analogous maybe, because I'm just using a dummy head, So, anyways, I'll
You know,
consider yours.
the dummy head is not what you should be focusing on. The problem that you should be focusing on is the fact that you overcomplicated the approach to begin with.
Okay. Okay.
That's the real issue because like I can tell you like even me, if I was doing this, if I was doing this approach, I would have realized, wait a minute, this is so fucking crazy. I would rethink it. Like it's just like way too difficult for me. I understand why, like you did it and it makes sense logically, but the code to me is not very clear. It's not super easy, you know. Because
Okay.
the heuristic you should follow is that if the code like looks almost really easy to write and the idea is super clear, that's usually the time when you've got it right. But here you're just kind of like you're like really trying. And to me, it's like, well, there's an easier way to represent it. I think it's just simply because the way you represent the problem, that's really the issue here.
Okay.
Yeah, like because if I were to expand this problem and ask you to merge k-sorted lists, this would not
use a
scale.
heap. And then I would have to use a heap. Yeah.
I mean, not even a heap. No. It's literally you just have like 3 or 4 different pointers, and then maybe you use the heap to help you manage the pointers. But overall, my point here is just that you really it's like if something seems like this overly complicated, chances are it's probably wrong, unless you've exhausted every other representation and option.
Okay.
So the trick here would be like, why not instead of creating a new object, just reuse the old reference. And I get you're trying to do that kind of with in place, but then why not just stick with the same pattern? You know that works.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a very subtle mistake, and I think you're analyzing it the wrong way. It should always be boiled down to like one simple thing, like and some simple North Star, almost always. And of course it's like a balance of that, right? Because sometimes you just straight up, come up with a crazy ass problem that requires this level of complexity. But to me, like when I see this now that I'm looking at it, I was like, oh wait, even I got thrown off by you talking about it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like when you start talking about the complexity about it. So even I get fooled by complexity sometimes, and I'm aware of it.
And in the end of the day, your solution and mine will be the same space complexity, all of one.
Exactly.
And yours is much simpler than mine. Yeah.
It's so easy to follow and understand.
For sure it is.
And all I did was just tweak exactly where you came from. I did the exact same thing. Instead of creating a new object, I just updated the reference.
Huh.
Okay. So
Yeah,
let's
that
move
makes
on to the other replay.
The other is serialized and deserialized in entry.
Yeah. So let me go. So let me just do a quick check through it. Okay, and then you said that you have the Where's your practice diary? I know I put it somewhere. Where the hell is it?
Ascension
no,
underscore.
I'm looking for.
On
I had it up
Windows.
open somewhere. Was it in Microsoft Edge? Oh yeah. I put it in Microsoft Edge. I don't know why. Okay. So what row is this? 227.
Yep.
Okay. 05 piece ID,
27.
start plan, test the idea, code, final test. Okay. I mean, these are pretty reasonable times. I feel like, there might be... I think the right plan might be a little bit long. Still doing piece by piece. Yeah, I would say the piece by piece and road plan would be kind of the weird ones. Yeah, I think you can get... If you are decent at this, you can shave off at least, I want to say, 15 minutes off this.
Whoa, 15 minutes.
15.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
it's just like taking 2-3 minutes here, 2-3 minutes here. Eventually that adds up. So let's see what you're doing here. Let me look at the 6 and 7 minute mark for the. Let me see piece by piece actually. Hold up.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So you're running through the idea. Fine. Sure. Fine. Okay. That's fine. You have the pseudocode. So you tested the idea is pretty clear. Yeah. Sure. Fine. Okay, I see what happened. Okay, I see. Okay. Yeah, so what killed you is the I would say mostly the pseudocode writing the plan. But I mean, I understand like you need it, to kind of clarify your ideas, but I'm trying to think. Is that really a bad thing though? Because you already had the plan. You already had the hypothesis and plan here, right? And it kind of feels a little bit like restating. I mean, it's fine.
Just to guarantee, I don't know. Sometimes I feel I don't need to
It's fine, I guess.
put in place safety against assurance, right?
Yeah, I get it. I know why you're doing it. I know why you're doing it. It's like that's why I'm hesitant to say to get rid of it. It's like if it helps you, then that's fine. Yeah, I can't.
For
really
some
see
problems, I can go straight to the code, but
Yeah,
yeah. Anyways,
that's fine. Sure. Okay. Again, I remember what I said about doing like incomplete portions. Try just extending it a little bit, just a little bit, because you did one leg, but remember the thing that like kills you in recursion is rewinding the stack all the way back up and then going to the next element. Remember you made that mistake?
yes, I was like just trying one leg without considering the comma.
Correct.
And then I realized this on the middle of the plan. That was
Yeah.
basically this.
Yeah, so that killed you. So I would recommend you at least try to extend your algorithm to a little bit more, just a little bit.
Okay. Just let me explain one point here. For this, I try to define the rule sets, right? And then like see where the stack is gonna go. So I was trying to, if you see, I just define rule sets without like writing a plan, because I was trying to understand where the stack is gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, that was
This is fine.
that was my approach.
I mean, this is fine. Let me see how long it took you to do this. So you already have the idea of traversing through the given string, and then you have different states. So let me see where that. So you start from here. So 31 minutes to 35 minutes. That's fine. It takes you 9 minutes to realize this. Okay, I see. Okay, I see. So basically, I get that you are still in that state where it's like, oh yeah, I need the assurance just to make sure I'm not fucking up.
Okay.
I understand where this is coming from now. Because you notice, like, something I noticed. When you're writing out the plan, a lot of it's, like, repeated from the previous one. From the previous step,
Previous.
So, for instance, when you write... So, you remember how you wrote at the very beginning, right?
Just
So,
a
like,
rule
at
set.
line 113.
130.
When
Okay,
you say
yeah.
if current character equals left parenthesis, add stack the current node, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, just a rule set.
Yeah, the rule set is fine, but then it ends up being more of like you end up kind of repeating it at the bottom.
Okay.
I mean, I get why you do it, but it's like it's
So-
really hard. It's really hard for me to say where you're messing up because you're really not. A lot of this is like safety. So I'm wondering, if, like at some point, and it doesn't feel like it. And it doesn't seem like you feel like it's redundant either. It seems like you feel like you need it.
To be honest, sometimes I feel redundant. I'm just putting to be safe. I'm just writing to be safe.
Yeah.
I can try to solve a few questions going straight to the code just to see how that goes. I don't know. What do you think?
I would say when you really know it, it'll be blindingly obvious you can jump to the code. Like, you'll be like, there's like almost no way I would fuck this up.
Oh, so
It has
that
to be
is,
blindingly obvious. Like, I am
100%
90%
sure.
certain that this works. Like, there's no, like, if you told me to do, like I do a loop that prints out all the numbers from 0 to 10, that's blindingly obvious, right?
Yes.
It's that feeling.
I see.
Is that instinct. When that kicks in, you know you're ready to jump. And I get why you did this, right? Yeah, I it's like there's nothing wrong. That's the problem. It's just that you were a little bit slower on it. That's it. But other than that, the steps you take are not wrong.
I see.
Just a little bit of
We want to
repetition.
save time, right? And that's maybe a thing that's bothering.
I'm trying to get you faster. That's the thing, and I'm without like getting sloppy.
I see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think basically all that's gonna need to happen is basically how to optimize and make it simpler without having to do all these safeties. That's basically the question. How do I get you to like how do we get faster without compromising and repeating stuff? I think that's really it. Because it's a very difficult question that I don't know how to answer that one right now. Because part of it comes with like job experience and coding. Other part of it is just like sorry, it's a little bit hard for me to try to figure out the answer to that
Okay.
one. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I'll be honest, but for me at least you got the answer. At least that's the thing.
Yeah, I see. No, I understand your point. Like, we don't want to put in risk, right?
Yeah, we want to try to, or at least like if we do take on risk, that the reward
Uh-huh.
is immensely great. Like for instance, if
Uh-huh.
there is let's say for instance the risk is like lose 2 minutes, right? But the reward is I
Yeah.
save myself 15, 20 minutes. That's
I
asymmetric
see.
payoff that I want.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, let me just share with you a point of view. Maybe that's happened.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yes.
For example, for most of the exercises involving trees,
Uh-huh.
right? I can go from the idea straight to the code, just stating like a very brief plan, So go to left and right and do some kind of thing, and go straight to the code
Uh-huh.
with just the 3 lines of like saying what I will do. A lot of exercise from strings and arrays I can do the same, but like some exercise that I feel that is more long, for example, I don't have like, for example, this one that you're seeing here. I think it's a little bit long because we have like 3 if cases, right? And I want to make sure that my actions is pretty clear. So I consider this as a long exercise. So for this, I feel more comfortable and more, how to say, more sure that if I write a plan, I'm not gonna miss like what I have to do on the code. One example of that was one mock interview I did with my friend of like the question is called LRU cache.
Yes.
So like when I was creating the idea, I figured out that it's too long. Like there's a lot of steps involved to the code. So for this one, I wrote like exactly the plan I need to execute on the code,
That's fine.
which helps. I ended up in the answer with the right answer.
Okay.
So basically, that's the overall vision of where I need to use the plan or not.
Okay. Yeah, if it gets too complicated and you can't see too far forward, that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's fine for now. And I'm sure it'll get faster with practice, I think. But overall, the takeaway from today, I think, especially with the 2 word sorted list, was I was like, I get you're trying to like derive, you're trying to look compare it to the answer, but then there's like some issues like where is this really the fastest and easiest way? Because even if you read like what the book says, they said, oh yeah, all you need to do is just traverse 2 lists and choose the node containing the smaller key to continue traversing from, right? Which is basically the answer, the solution that I showed you. And then you decide to go around like this really complicated route. So to me, that says that okay, well, at least do this exercise of where you diff between what you did and what the book does, not just like the code, right? Because you say that the issue was the dummy head, but I see the issue as you overcomplicated things because they even tell you, hey, this is the approach we took.
Yeah, they were. I think I was too verbose while you're explaining. Like,
No,
I
it's not that you were
overcomplicated.
I don't think you were too verbose. I think you explained just fine. It's just that you were complicating the way you thought about it.
Okay, I
So,
get it.
I think like you really not just like, comparing the code and the delta of the code, but also the delta of the thinking. Like these are going to be really important. So
Okay. One question about practice. Do you recommend I keep doing like few questions of the 1 month plan, or I think you told me this on Saturday,
yeah,
but I just want to see your vision now, like again, just to make sure if I go straight to the honor classes one now, that you see that I'm more confident with those.
I want you to keep doing the 1 month plan actually. I know
Okay.
I thought that we'd do the honor class, but like I feel like at this point I still like we talk about like trying to do the delta between the book and what you're doing.
Okay.
and we constantly keep talking about it, but it's just like, for some reason, it's not like clicking. Like just what we did today, right? It's like, hey, all I did was just read what the book did, and compare it to what you thought, right? And that was the delta, and that was a pretty easy delta to see. Hey, yeah, if I just thought of it very simply, then I don't get into this huge mess. And it feels like sometimes you keep missing that. So I kind of don't want you to do the honor class just yet. I kind of want you to keep doing the book.
Okay, I'm focused on the delta.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing we talked about in the past. Focusing on the thought delta, not just the code. The code delta is a symptom, but the thought delta is what we want.
Thought delta. Okay.
Yes. So keep focusing on the thought delta.
Okay. And for the other thing to get faster, any thoughts or not?
Not really. I think that's gonna come with practice. And because if you can simplify your thinking and really just pick the simple stuff, then the speed will come, right? But like for instance, with the 2-pointer, right? You got it in 34 minutes, but if you just thought about it simply, I think you would have gotten it in like 17. I feel like that's where the biggest gains are gonna come from, just simply thinking simple and modeling the problem very simply.
Okay.
The approach is right. It's just the little these little mental models that you use and setups that kind of kill it.
Okay. And actually, sorry to take more time. One last question. Like, I've been recording, like, all I've been doing, like, for example, those 2 questions, right? Just to see where can I improve. Do you think it's still valuable or not? It's pretty
I didn't
simple.
quite understand it.
Record the question.
Oh.
Like, so I can, because I've been doing this, and just to see the points where I totally mess up, I'm taking too much time. I don't know, like, do you still consider this a good practice?
If you feel like, after you do like the book problems, and then you feel like, oh wait, I'm getting the exact same solution that they are, or very close, like in terms of thinking, and I'm still slow, then that's when you want to do it.
Okay, that's the
Right
point.
now, I see the problem right now as you're not doing the thought delta, and I think we mentioned this before, so.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No, I think that's it.
All right, cool. I'll let you go. I won't be around Saturday, but if you have this practice sheet and you want me to take a look at it, or at any recordings, I can go ahead and do that. But it would just be like asynchronous. I'd have to get back to you.
Oh, no problem.
again.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. I'll be recording a few questions and I can send you.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
All right. Sounds good. Take care.
Take care. Have a nice trip.
You too. Bye bye. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we've talked about the thought delta in the past. But at least I think like he only took it as far as it to mean the code delta, but and I mentioned it before, but maybe now he's starting to get it. Maybe just take some time to get it in the head. Either way, let's see what you guys said. Case holding intervals. Seems like you're trying to justify this thought process and correcting as he slips up. However, he needs to look at the cleanest solution and how they all think of this. Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this multiple times to him. And if he's still not getting it, I don't know. I'm trying to get him close to that point. So, either he gets, it's like either he gets it through his head that he needs to look at the thought delta, or he doesn't. Maybe I threw too much at him, and maybe this is like something that someone who's a new grad student can't really get through their head. Maybe it's just too difficult for them. So this is part of like my fault too, I think. Random question, but do you think of those? What do you think of those problems that make you pay for interview coaching? I mean, as long as you get your money's worth, to be honest. I think that a lot of the interview coaching in the industry is mostly centered around just making the candidate do the problem for like 30, 45 minutes. Tell them, hey, you can work on X, Y, Z. And then that's it. But I think it's pretty worthless because it's very vague, the feedback. It's like, it's very similar to the feedback that we would give you for a coding interview for a company, where, oh yeah, you took too long or something like that. But they wouldn't be able to tell you where to practice, how to practice, and what you should focus on in your practice, or how to do it better. So they just tell you the symptoms. They don't tell you the approach. So it's like a doctor telling you, it's like you tell a doctor, hey, am I healthy? And the doctor says, oh no, it looks like your ears are red and your throat is swollen. And then you ask, what can I do about it? And the doctor says, I don't know. or the doctor says nothing. It's basically like that. That's basically what everyone else in the industry does. It's like a doctor who tells you what's wrong with you, but not how to fix it. I think recording will help you manage time after you rewatch them, but the thought process should come from questions. Yeah. So like I said, the payoff is going to come from looking at the thought delta. So. All right. Is there any other questions from the crowd? What did Bill Gates? All right, going once, going twice. Any questions? Nope. All right. You know what? I guess that'll be it. Yeah. Thank you all for joining me. There won't be a stream this Saturday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I did notice that a lot of people did tend to leave when I started talking about his mistakes and trying to analyze them. So if you guys don't like, maybe you don't like me doing that, or you guys have some other feedback for me, or have ideas on how to make that a little bit more interesting, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. So no stream this Saturday, but we will be back next Tuesday. So yeah, hopefully, thank you all for joining me. Hopefully you guys join me for that. And I'll see you next Tuesday.